Meet the Samsung Galaxy A16 5G, a budget-friendly powerhouse from Samsung designed to pack a punch without emptying your wallet. But does it truly deliver the performance you're looking for, or is it just another budget bluff? Well, we're about to find out, and so without taking much of your time, yo guys, let's get started. Now, the classic Samsung unboxing experience is, well, pretty minimalist these days. Inside you get the Galaxy A16 itself in this gold finish, and there's also the USB Type-C cable, SIM ejector tool, some paperwork, and that's about it. Alright, on to design. I've got to say, in hand, the A16 feels sleek. It's just the right balance between sturdy and smooth. The gold, oh, before I forget, there are 3 other color options: the grey, the water green, and the midnight blue. Whichever you pick, it's a solid look for everyday usage. At 7.9mm thin and weighing about 200 grams, the A16 is quite slim for a smartphone in this category. But heads up, it's got a plastic frame and a back that tends to collect a lot of fingerprints. It was challenging recording this device as it had a lot of reflection going on. It's got an IP54 rating, meaning it's splash and dust resistant, but not fully waterproof. So don't go diving in a pool with this device. Design-wise, it's almost identical to last year's Galaxy A15, slightly bigger and without the headphone jack. The upper left corner has the signature triple camera setup, and there's a side-mounted fingerprint sensor for quick and secure unlocking. The design on here and build quality are pretty standard as expected. Next, audio. It's a mono speaker setup here, just one at the bottom of the phone. No stereo speakers, which you know, is not unheard of in this price range, but it does limit audio quality for devices like this one. It still gets decently loud, but if you really are into media consumption or gaming on your smartphone, you're probably going to have to plug in headphones or Bluetooth headsets with this device. Sadly, there's no 3.5mm jack ports on the A16, which we had on the A15 from last year. Now let's talk about what you'll spend most of your time using: the display. You're getting a 6.7-inch Super AMOLED panel with a 90Hz refresh rate. Nice, right? It's a solid upgrade for this price point, but here's the catch. With a screen-to-body ratio of about 86%, you notice that bottom bezel is thick, like super noticeable. Despite that, the colors really do pop here thanks to the vibrant AMOLED tech, but in direct sunlight, those 800 nits of peak brightness might leave you squinting a little if you're, say, on the beach. But cool feature alert here, Samsung gives you control over this screen mode, where you can choose between the vivid and natural settings, as well as adjust the white balance on this display. There's also Eye Comfort Shield, the blue light filter, to save your tired eyes during those night scrolls. Resolution here is Full HD+, so a little over Full HD. I would say Samsung decided to play it safe on this device. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Alright, let's switch gears to performance. This is where things get interesting. The Galaxy A16 is powered by the MediaTek Dimensity 6300 chipset, which is a 5G chipset, built on 6nm process. In some regions, you'd be getting the Exynos 1330, but mine is the MediaTek variant. Now, that's not Qualcomm level speedy, but is perfectly suitable for everyday usage like scrolling through social media or hopping between apps. You get a bit of a delay when loading larger apps, but for most typical tasks, it performs just fine. And when I mean just fine, it's a slight upgrade over the last year's G99 from the Galaxy A15. Samsung offers 2 storage options here, 128 gigs or 256 gigs of internal storage with up to 8 gigs of RAM. If that's not enough, there's a micro SD card slot, which means you can expand the storage to a whopping 1 TB, and that's for data hoarders like you watching this video. Swiping through the UI is smooth enough thanks to Android 14 and One UI 6.1 on board. And let's not forget, Samsung promises 6 major Android upgrades, which is fantastic for the longevity of this phone. And that is just 1 year less than the flagship devices, and also 3 more years when compared to the Galaxy A15 from last year. Alright, so what about gaming? Well, GPU is good, but not super great, especially for heavy titles. If you're playing lighter games like Subway Surfers or Asphalt, you're golden, but push it hard with something like Genshin Impact. I tried this and let me tell you, it's a slideshow when a lot is happening on screen, and you might have to dial back the graphics settings down to maybe medium or even lower settings for smoother gameplay. For those of you who like to see benchmark scores, here's the Antutu, Geekbench and 3D Mark scores to give you an idea of what you'd get with this smartphone. So we've crunched the numbers, and now I'm wondering, can you get a high score on the like button? Click on it, and hey, subscribing might just boost our performance in the next video. Hit them both and let's keep this tech journey going strong. Thank you. Okay, let's talk cameras. The Samsung Galaxy A16 sports a triple camera setup on the rear, housed in a rectangular module. On paper, a 50 megapixel wide camera sounds impressive, right? And this is the big but. There's no optical image stabilization, so don't expect super crisp photos, especially in lower lighting conditions. Still, the cameras are okay in good lighting, colors are good, you have this good dynamic range, and what you might expect for the price is what you get with this device. You get a 5 megapixel ultra wide sensor and a 2 megapixel macro lens. The selfies on the 30 megapixel front-facing camera are actually decent. I like the sharpness and the color, and with the portrait mode, you do get this nice separation of the background blur. Better than we got from the A15. It even has a small zoom for those group selfies, but again, don't expect flagship level portrait shots on this device. Outdoor photos in good light look solid, and the color reproduction looks natural, but detail is where the heat happens. Zoom in and the image quality drops quite a bit, especially with no dedicated telephoto lens. When it comes to the video, both the front and the rear cameras top out at 1080p 30 fps, so no 4K recording here, but that's expected for a phone in this price range. Starting with the rear cameras, video quality is decent in daylight, producing solid visuals with good contrast. The electronic image stabilization, or EIS, does a fair enough job for handheld shots in well-lit settings, but you might see some shakiness in dimmer conditions or with faster motions. And the front-facing camera is also superb and the colors are solid. The Galaxy A16 offers a solid setup for basic day-to-day photography needs. Daylight shots are enjoyable with good dynamic range, especially for the main sensor, and the 30 megapixel selfie camera does well for casual snaps. The base model, which has 4 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of storage, currently retails at 270,000 naira, which is roughly $160, and that's the one I have here. Okay, the battery time. The 5000 mAh battery is a nice beefy size, and with the efficient 6300 Dimensity chipset, you can easily squeeze out a full day and maybe more on a moderate use. Whether you're watching YouTube or typing up some email or even listening to music, throughout the day this thing can keep up. But here's a catch, it supports just 25 watts wired charging, and in my testing it took about an hour to hit 70%. Not bad, but it's by no means fast charging. And sorry guys, no wireless charging or reverse wireless charging here. This is a budget device as expected. Okay, let's wrap this up. Is the Samsung Galaxy A16 worth it? Suppose you're in the market for a budget-friendly device with a solid AMOLED display and stellar battery life, and you don't mind a hit-or-miss camera experience. In that case, it's undeniably a good option. Would I want optical image stabilization on that main camera? Absolutely. But given its price and Samsung's 6-year promise of Android updates, I'm crossing my fingers they follow through. The Galaxy A16 might just deliver some serious bang for your buck. So if you're after a smartphone that looks good, lasts long, and delivers Samsung's experience without a premium price tag, then the Galaxy A16 is worth considering. And also check out where I compare the Galaxy A16 5G with this predecessor, the A15 here. Till then, that day.